I just want to shout out the sponsor of today's video, and that's Booked In. You guys can head over to bookedin.com/Eddie, redeem your offer for 50% off your first 3 months. If you guys go ahead and check out this site down below, they're an appointment scheduling app. They're adding new features all the time, and they have a very low friction booking. You don't have to download an app. It's super easy for the clients. And if you guys have never heard of them, they help me pay off a barber tuition, and they've done a lot of other great things. So with that being said, how good is the Andis Phenom trimmer? What's up, you guys? Welcome back to the YouTube Barber Academy, your trusted source for the most in-depth reviews in the game. And we just finished up our review on the Andis Phenom clipper, and now we got the trimmer. So today, let's unbox it, let's go through it, let's try it, and I'll give you guys my recommendation at the end of the video. One thing I gotta say is the price is pretty fair on these with 2.5 hours of runtime, digital brushless motor, and you guys could see that whole video, but this is $145, and this one here comes in at how much, Edward? $120. So here at Fort Worth Barber Supply, you guys can get this for $120. Now, if this is something that you want to purchase, you guys can go ahead, use my code Eddie10 with Fort Worth Barber Supply, and they have done a lot to contribute to education in our industry, and I want to thank them for having me out here to do some of this work. Let's go ahead, let's start with this unbox. These boxes rip so easy. Try not to rip anything. There we go. Phenom cordless trimmer. Now their blade is called the Phenom on this. It really doesn't look like the other ones. Sounds pretty good. Brushless motor, USB-C charging, and overall it's very small. It actually feels pretty good. It's tiny. We're gonna check out some of these specs here in a second, but let's finish off with what we get in the box. We get a charging stand now. They're adding additional plates, and they actually gave us the original magnetic guards with the clipper. Let's see what they give us with the trimmer. So with the trimmer, looks like we got a couple of guards for the trimmer. I typically find these pretty useful for getting into like hard to reach spots, maybe a little bit under the mustache, but kind of useless for anything much longer than that. We have our plug, USB-C charger, little brush here, a pretty good amount of oil, and that's it. Let's actually have a look at this lid and see what color it is. It came with gold. Let's see what we got. Black. And it comes with one of the, oh Jesus, another one of these. If you guys didn't see the first video, I really struggled to get this to work, but I think I know how to do it now. And I also think that the gold's got to go. I'd much rather it be black with a white accent to match the clipper. So let's go ahead, let's open this up, let's have a look inside, and I'll tell you guys about the specs as we do it. Okay, it has a brushless motor that says it runs at 7,200 strokes per minute. Long-lasting battery life, 4 hours of runtime. 4 hours of runtime, 7,200 RPMs, and only $120. This is honestly a pretty good value. Like that's assuming it cuts. I imagine it probably will. They're usually known for having some pretty decent trimmers. And we'll go ahead, we'll take this little white piece, we're gonna insert this in here. I could make it all black on black if I want. I could take this black one, put it in here, make the whole thing kind of black on black. It only fits in there one way, guys. So you kind of gotta like look at this a little carefully. I believe it's this way. Hopefully it doesn't fight me the way the clipper did. No fight. Wait, it's fighting. It's fighting. You won't win. You will not win. Oh man, it's a real crapshoot over here, how these going. Why did they do this? Right where you line it up. Okay, it's backwards. Never mind. I don't see what's going on here. Is this piece like this too? We get this to go back on. I got a feeling it'd go back on so much easier if I remove this cover. Eduardo. Yeah. He said, you calling me?
What am I doing?
Just put this piece back in there and go ahead and there's your 2 bolts, screw them. You know, you got 3. Okay. And he's an expert, guys. If he struggles, you know, how many clippers you own?
0. Snap in, right?
No, it sure don't. It's honestly surprisingly difficult to figure out. Like I figured it out, but it's not really all that intuitive to just put it back together. This is not. I know. And then there's also this like little tab right here, and it looks like it would plug in there, but it don't. That's not. with that, if you remove that tab, that thing's gonna like seat down further, and that would be no good. Yeah.
Yeah, it just took a little while.
Yeah, yep, exactly, dude. I mean, I went through the same thing with the clipper.
Yeah.
And I will say that if you guys get this, I mean, for 120 bucks, 4 hours of runtime is really not all that bad. And if you guys get this and you got to go through this, it's like, all right, so what? But at the end of the day, it's not super easy to do. So, but if you mess around with it enough, you'll get it. What you got?
But that white rubber grip, I mean, it's great that it's rubber.
Yeah.
But that white's just gonna pick up all your oils, and man, it's gonna turn gray pretty quick, you know.
That's a good point. I did not mention that in my other video either. I'm gonna add this.
It looks good, but I think the black would hide all the blemishes.
I want to get a closer look at this blade. Let's see how it zero gaps. This is a very loud drill, guys. Sorry. What in the f is going on over here? Have a look at this blade, you guys. This is a completely different design than anything I've seen. And it looks like if I wanted to zero gap that, which I don't, it's actually set pretty good. But if I wanted to zero gap that, it looks like I could just do that by unscrewing this a little bit. Man, you would have to take that off. We're supposed to be experts, right? I need a bigger screwdriver. Why would they make it easy? It's a different size screwdriver. And Andis is known for making things a little harder than they need to be. All right, so now this piece will come off entirely. And it looks like, actually looked like this would be a pain in the ass to zero gap without taking it off. So anyways, it's good I got a chance to clean it. I could see it looks like you could get to them screws just like the Babeless. It looks like you can get to them screws. And these springs aren't super hard to work with either. They're not super strong. All right, so I just took this off, and it looks like to zero gap it, you'd actually would be able to just move these springs out of the way and get to that bolt.
Wow. Okay.
It's a really strange system.
Yeah.
Now, if you take this off all the way, look at this thing. It all comes off. It's all one piece. I thought initially that this spring would come out. Well, what kind of weirdness is that?
Yeah. Does it say it's zero gappable?
I don't know. It might not be. You would think that it would be assumed that you would be able to zero gap the clipper in 2025.
Yeah. On any professional level.
On like a professional level, you would definitely think that you should be able to zero gap this, but it almost looks like
I don't want you to touch it.
maybe not. All right, so you guys see, if you unscrew this, right? We're over here messing around trying to see if we could zero gap it. This all comes off in one piece. This thing, there is some kind of adjustment there, but it looks like it would really be a nightmare to zero gap. So after I get one home, we'll give it a try. One thing that I kind of forgot to talk about during the clipper video. Oh, it's kind of scary. You feel like you're gonna break it. But look at that clipper blade. Look at that system. It's completely separate. Now, I forget which one it was called, like the Revite. The clipper was the Revite. The problem is it used to just flop right off all the way onto the floor. And this actually seems super secure. It doesn't seem like it's gonna do that anymore. And is this, Edward, is this so that they could switch to a taper blade?
I believe so. I haven't heard any details on it. And I don't know if you could change the blade without the entire setup. So when they sell replacement blades, just like the Revite, they had to sell the entire housing together.
Oh, you can't change this blade out.
I haven't seen any
potentially.
I haven't seen any loose blades yet.
Okay.
They're gonna, kind of copy what they do with the Revite. They're gonna sell the entire housing together.
So when it comes to replacement blades, they sell this whole piece all together. And he hasn't seen any loose blades. At least that's how it was with the Revite. And we're just guessing here, but it looks like that might be what happens with this. But also what looks like what might happen with this is there might even be a taper blade that you could snap on as well. It seems pretty secure now and here, but after a bunch of use, I guess all we could do is kind of report back to you. But as of right now, it doesn't seem nowhere near what the Revite was. You push pretty good right here, it comes off. You can see it's pretty secure. Snap it back on. Yeah, let's give it a try and make sure that it can zero gap here. I'm just curious. We'll just back these bolts off a touch. And let's see if we can move this. Doesn't look like it would actually go to overlap to me, but I got it a little tighter than it was in factory setting. Honestly, I'm not sure if I succeeded in really doing anything. I don't think it'll go all the way to zero gap.
Yeah, it may not.
You want to try it?
Sure.
Oh, the other thing that's kind of interesting is I think they said that those screws are so flat you might be able to put a normal clipper blade on it, like a wall clipper blade. All right, so after messing around with this clipper for a little while, we have pretty much come to the conclusion that you're not really going to be able to set it any closer than it comes factory. But I got to say, it did come decently set from the factory. Now, another interesting thing here about the clipper is the bolts do not stick out the way the other Andis ones do. So I just want to see if like a wall blade will fit on it. No, definitely not. People in the comment section were saying that they would. No, there's no way. They're still not fitting. So you're going to be using the Andis blades if you're going to be using this. All right, so after putting the trimmer back together, we discovered that at the very least, it's not easy to zero gap. It might be possible to move that blade, but if you've seen that system, the whole thing's a little bit weird. So my guess is Andis probably did something to keep the price down. They just come how they are. And to be fair, they do seem like they're set pretty good. The only thing we can do now is put them to the test. So let's go ahead and let's give it a try. So one thing we have to keep in mind when we're grading these trimmers side by side, there's a lot of great stuff out here right now. But this one is being offered at only $119. And if you guys purchase this at Fort Worth Barber Supply, you guys can use my code Eddie10 and you could save an additional 10% off of that. Now, with that being said, is it worth $119? So as a trimmer that you're going to use to remove bulk and set in skin lines, I actually think this is a pretty cool trimmer. I experienced no snagging, no pulling, all the comfort you would want to see in a trimmer. And one of the reasons is this is not zero gappable, at least not by me. And if I'm wrong, drop it in the comments. But I've taken this apart, I've messed with it a lot, and I've actually used this extensively before I actually completed the rest of this video. And as you guys can see, it's leaving a significant amount of residual. The bad news is when I run the electric shaver, it's going to cause it to have to work a little bit harder, and it's going to cause the client's skin to get a little bit more irritated. But the good news is you can actually set a decent skin line in and you can easily remove it with most of your clippers. Now, in some cases, when the hair gets really thick, like you're going to see in a clip just in a second, it's definitely not the right one to be using. However, the downside would be when it comes to making sharp lines, if you're trying to do designs, if you're trying to just do lineups in the C-cup area or the vertical bars, this is definitely not my favorite trimmer to use. As you guys can see right here, this is about as sharp as it gets, and generally I never struggle with Daniel's edge up here. It's just the way his hair is set in there. Most trimmers perform really good in this case, and I just felt like I had to go back over it and overwork it a few too many times. But in the neck and in sensitive areas, it puts down a good enough line. Being that I'm going to go back with my razor anyways, it's not really that big of a deal for me. The deal breaker really kind of comes when it comes to trying to make sharp lines. Now, in his case, you guys can see he's got a bunch of different growth patterns in his neck. The hair is growing every single way. And a lot of times I actually like to use a regular clipper on here just so I'm not putting in too harsh of a line. But I knew that this trimmer wouldn't be difficult to remove. So there is an advantage to having a setback trimmer. So I think if you already have a really sharp trimmer and you're looking for something to just kind of take some abuse, use it to remove bulk, use it to preserve battery life on some of your other tools, this is a pretty good trimmer. But as you guys can see, doing the front of his hairline, when I was doing it, I was definitely struggling with this a little bit. I really didn't like how it was cutting. I couldn't really see that a straight line was coming out. And in fact, I could tell that I wasn't cutting everything that I wanted to cut when I was doing it. Now, I am holding the camera and kind of looking through the camera and the haircut myself. But I wound up actually going back over this with a sharper trimmer, and it was just night and day. Overall, this is a pretty fairly priced trimmer, and I really can't knock them. It's an all metal body. It's a digital brushless motor, 7,200 strokes per minute. A pretty decent blade, but very odd. And I think the replacements are going to be a little expensive because it looks like it all comes together as one unit. The top does not disconnect like it does on the Envy. So if that's something you guys were wondering, I've never really seen a blade drive quite like this. This is a bit odd. And, you know, I think that they did a couple of things here to save some money. Now, here's that client with that really thick hair. And as you guys can see, it's leaving a lot of residual, but it is not pulling, which is pretty cool for a trimmer that is set back. So that's kind of what I would look to see if I'm looking for a trimmer that I want to put my guidelines in. And I'll be honest with you guys, I use this a ton. I've actually been back from Fort Worth for probably 2 months. I gave this thing a lot of time. I gave it a lot of different hair types, and I tested it pretty thoroughly before I made this review. So if you guys enjoy videos like this, where I really just go above and beyond to try to produce the best review possible, give you the realest reviews in the game, you guys can subscribe to my channel. We're almost at 200,000 subscribers, and go ahead and hit that thumbs up and drop a comment if you disagree with anything, or if you actually think you might be purchasing this. I'm curious, after having seen all this, after having heard all this, where do you guys stand with this? Is this something that you're going to pick up? Is this something that you want to purchase? Is it something that you need, or is it something that you plan on giving a pass to? So overall, kind of interesting to see them go with the lids, the swappable lids, USB-C charging, metal housing, and it looks like they're trying to kind of do something a little bit different, a little bit outside of their normal, and it's pretty low priced comparatively to a lot of the things you see from Andis. They're kind of known for keeping a price point, and in this case, they definitely delivered on something that doesn't cost a ton of money and produces a pretty good amount of value. All right, with that being said, I have over 1,000 videos to help you learn. I hope you guys subscribe to the channel if you're not already, and smash that like button. It really helps the channel out. Drop a comment down below, and I will catch you guys in my next video. We're out. Peace.